Hey guys, welcome to this third video as we break down Mason Williams' classical gas. This is the original recording as transcribed by Guitar Player magazine. We are in basically the fourth and fifth sections of the song. We had an introduction and part one, or an A part, that was a repeating pattern that used 4 different endings. After the fourth ending, we moved into what I considered perhaps a transitional section of 8 bars that moves us now into this climbing period that moves up into A minors and Ds. I'm going to just backtrack a little bit, play out of that fourth ending through this section, and then we'll have a look at the fourth section. I played it in the last video, but I didn't break it down, and hopefully we'll get through there into the horn section next. The horn section isn't usually done by the guitarists, but it is arranged here for guitar. So as we've been doing what could be considered a verse, part 1, that sounds like this. Into the fourth ending, which brings us to this A minor, G over B, C, A minor. I want to bar you into that F, to E sus, to this A. One thing I didn't point out that maybe I should here, because we're going to this G over B, I like to use my ring finger on the 2 here, on this A note. So as I come into this A minor from G, I'll bring my ring finger in as though I were doing an A minor, even if I don't hit the A minor. That allows me a free finger to walk into G over B, C, these are the 3-note patterns, F, D, G, the Green Day G, which brings us to this E climb. The G sharp is the 3 of an E chord. So it runs through the sus, the A, gets to this B note, and then we're on this run of A minor. It's played differently by everybody, having this sense of improvisation a bit. A lot of these D sus's will be played back in a normal D position in some performances, including the video by Mason Williams, but it's arranged here on this D with a sus at the 8th fret, and sometimes the dominant 7 up on the 1st string. As we hit the A minor, we've got an A minor, we've got an A bass, and we run from the flat 3, the C, to the root, to the flat 7. So there's an A minor 7 chord. And then this D. You can play the D note. In this transcription, they've got an A, a D, and the D chord. You could strum it or use 4 fingers. I'll practically always miss that 5th string. These 5s have to be barred. These 7s then will be played with 2 fingers. For a while I tried them with pinky and ring finger, which makes sense to my hand, and dropping into the bar after that. As we move on and require some 8th fret notes, it turned out I really have to get my middle 2 fingers on those 7s. So that's something I'd like to prepare right away. I'll also double back and show you this O and 3. I don't know how often this is ever played by anybody. I don't hear it, but it's in my transcription, so I did learn it. You have to play the open E to the G right before that chord. That takes some practice. Some days I'm up to it, some days I'm not. Because I want to be back there at times, I'll actually move this 8, this G note, down here to the 3. Sometimes I'll accidentally do that still. I'll play it here. So I'm in position to play the O3, I've been on a 5, and then I'll get my 7s right here. So that would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and O. Right now I'm not going to play the open and 3, although that can be a part of each one, and I'll leave the 8 where it is, so I'll stay in position as written rather than move it to the G. So here's my run up on E. Next one's the same. You could hit the 3 if you like. My 7's lined up with ring finger in middle. And with 5s again. I've used a very cheap, lazy way of saying, let's do this bar again. Mentally, when you play, you're not thinking, I'll do a bar, do an ending, do a bar, do an ending. When those bars are identical, you'll actually be thinking, I'm repeating that bar and putting new endings on. So really, we're doing this one over and over again. If I played it from here again, I could play this ending. Play it again. And then this ending. As you read linearly though, you might want to see it over and over, but when you've memorized it, you'll just be thinking of playing this preparatory bar the same way every time. So here's the entire run up from the E again. Then you got to get to your G on the and of 4. Just a couple of tips in here for memorizing. I don't have this right now in my memory banks like I used to, but I would have a few thoughts running through my head. This bar is all on A, so it's got the open A. This bar is on a D, and I had to remember that there's going to be 2 bass notes. One is the D note, right there. The second one is A. Back to this bar. Now I want to move quickly into the next bar, and there is no A bass note. Both bass notes are on the 4th string, which I would remember when this is memorized. Doing the bar on A again. And in this bar, we have D notes and then an A at the end of it. So picking up from the and of 4 here, there's the D note on beat 1. Again with this chord. And then we gotta get to our G chord. That helped me a lot. D and then A, 2 D notes, D and then A in this one. That way I could remember when I hit a bar, just these little cues in my head of what I was going to do. Here it is again, and then we'll move on to the chords and then the horn part. We've hit this section to end part 3. You can slow down a little, go a little rubato, a little drama as you come in. That G on the and, we're going to be in a 5/4 bar. I've written a rest just so you don't play again, but the G is still ringing, so it's really a tie over. I just didn't want to clutter it. So the G is on and of 4. C bar chord to an F. C to F. This bar is interesting to me. This 3 on the bottom at the and of 3 looks like it belongs in an F chord, but really it's going to be so close to the B flat, you should be using it to prepare the B flat chord. You hear the B flat, then this open D note, the D right before the A, so you want to be letting go of your chord, not trying to keep it in a B flat chord as you roll into the D chord. So this section from the G, we're on the and of 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and there's your F. Hold that for a beat, and 4, and D, and 3, 4, and 2. It's a D minor over A. We're hitting this open A, and we've got a open E string, so it's a D minor sus2. It's a little offset. We're playing the 1 and 3, 4 and 2. 1 and 3, 4 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1. Here we arpeggiate the chord. Then we move into the bar chords of the horn section. So from the G again, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and F and B and D. And he kind of slows down there and pauses. Now we do C sharp power chords or bar chords. Then we have a 6 and a 8. This is A flat or G sharp and the E sharp or F. So what I do here, I bring my bar along to catch this 6, grab the 8 on the 5th string, turn them back over for a 6, 8, D sharp and A sharp or E flat and B flat, and bring it back. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I might strum those quite aggressively. Drag the pinky. Repeat. Drag the pinky. Arpeggiate the chord. So I'm using a little repeat sign here to show you we're doing this twice. Pinky drags back, the ring finger grabs the low string. I continue a bar, way more than I need necessarily, and my second finger catches the A sharp note of this F sharp chord. Move the bass to here, it's F sharp over G sharp, and grab the F sharp on the 4th string with the pinky. Repeat. Arpeggiate through the chord. I use this repeat sign to say do it twice, then the arpeggio ends it. And then you can read all this tab, or if you're lucky and somebody tells you, just repeat all of this up at the 7th fret. All that changes after this one repeats is a new ending. After they land the chord, there'll be 9 on the 3rd and 2nd string, and the bass note we land on G. The G chord is a bar chord, goes to a C bar chord, F, B flat. The same thing we did on D minor here. The tab shows that this one had a 4th string 3rd fret played and this one doesn't, so the tab actually names this an A chord, an A sus4. I'm doing the exact same chord. I'm certain the composer did as well. You can either hit the 4th string on this one or not on this, or do them identical both times. It doesn't really matter. Here's the C sharp again. Repeat. Arpeggio. E. Repeat. We're going to do this thing several times throughout the song. The first time the arpeggio was on 8th notes, 3 and 4 and 1, hold for a bar. The next time it's syncopated, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and with 8th notes at the end. Here are the two versions. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1. And this one, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2. And then we're off to part 6, which is another A minor section. Another one that I found kind of hard to remember, mostly because it feels a little random to me, but we'll touch on that next time. Have a good one, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.